In the past hour, and this is pretty sensational, a judge has ruled that the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan's ultra-low emission zone, that expansion of that zone is lawful.
Yes, it follows months of legal and political wrangle over both the impact and the timing of the scheme. But following this morning's approval from the judge, the scheme will come into force on the 29th of August as planned.
Well, let's get more on this now with our political reporter, Katherine Forster, who's been following this story. And Katherine, there are some who say this was inevitable.
Well, let's face it, Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, made the decision to expand the ultra-low emission zone from between the North and South Circular, where it currently is, which is, of course, a very urban area, right to the fringes of Greater London, where often there's fields in between and people rely very heavily on their cars in a way that they don't in central London. He made that decision last November, and people have been getting used to the idea or not ever since. I think these 5 Conservative-led councils on the outskirts of London took this court case hoping to get it stopped. Bexley, Bromley, Harrow, Hillingdon. I don't think it was ever that likely to happen. But, of course, it's going to go live on the 29th of August, and it's potentially going to cost a lot of people, particularly those who can ill afford it, a lot of money, because £12.50 a day to either drive if your vehicle is not compliant or get rid of your vehicle and get something that is compliant. Now, Sadiq Khan, of course, would say this is very important. We need clean air. People are dying because of pollution. And that's true. He's also saying it's only going to affect 1 in 10 people, because diesel cars registered from about 2016, petrol cars from about 2006 are generally compliant. But I've spent a lot of time in Uxbridge in the last few weeks with the by-election, and there was real fury there about this. And of course, last week in the by-election, we saw the Conservatives hang on to it against expectations because people are so angry about it. So this has become a real political hot potato now and led to a massive environmental sort of agonising with all the big parties.
And with that in mind, it's going to be really interesting to see how this impacts on the London mayoral elections and the general election following that.
Well, yes, and Susan Hall, who the Conservative candidate for mayor, has said if she gets in, she will scrap it because the Conservatives spy an opportunity. They know there's a lot of unhappiness. They potentially there's a lot of votes, and in the general election too. But of course, the problem will be if it's implemented, and Keir Starmer, Labour leader, Rachel Reeves, Shadow Chancellor, have asked Sadiq Khan to think again because they're very worried about the impact on this. But assuming he brings it in, as he says he's going to, and he's commented on this judgment, it will already have been in place for months and months and months. So there'll be tens of thousands of people who will have already felt forced to spend thousands of pounds on a different vehicle or a different van.
Just very briefly, was this always a political stunt from these councils? Because, of course, the Mayor of London is in charge of transport policy. The Mayor of London, I mean, within his powers, he can do this. Was this legal challenge ever going to work?
I don't know. But, if you don't try, you don't get. They maybe didn't have high hopes particularly, but also it's politically helpful, even if they knew it was only a small chance. It's politically very helpful to those councils to be seen to push back against this, because the opposition to this is the further you go out of the centre of London, the more people are reliant on the cars and the less popular this becomes.
Okay.